You're going to agape this morning's Carolina people. Find out what it's all about coming up next. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at Myrtle Beach Lighting, the lighting store of the year at 4897 Highway 17 Bypass South in Myrtle Beach. We're focused on Agape Senior, and we're visiting with its Chief Executive Officer, Scott Middleton. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning.
And a happy Friday the 13th. We wouldn't normally say that, but since you are a minister, we can say that you're protecting us.
That's
this
right.
morning.
I'm not superstitious.
You can make sure and lift it up. That's right.
Exactly. Yeah.
A great day and a great week. A lot going on this week. Myrtle Beach Lighting was kind enough to let us in early. Actually, they're not quite yet open, but letting us in early. Have you been in the store before?
No, this is the first time I've been down here, but gosh, they've got a lot of stuff.
It is tremendous. Light after light. It's I don't know how they keep it cool in this place.
Yeah, they must have some good air conditioning systems in here.
A great AC system, absolutely. Scott, are you originally from the area?
No, actually, I grew up upstate in Lawrence is where I was born, but
Right.
been vacationing down at Garden City all my life. And in fact, my wife was her grandfather built the third house at Garden City. Owned tons of lots up on Front Beach and thought people were absolutely crazy to build any kind of house on the sand up there because he knew a hurricane would blow it away.
Right.
And in fact, the last house that they owned got blown away during Hurricane Hugo. And so we've been vacationing down here all of our lives, and this is kind of a second home for us.
Is your wife also from Lawrence?
No, she grew up in North Carolina.
Okay,
yeah, from,
good.
The western part of it. Her dad's a Methodist preacher, and so was she.
Yes.
And so she traveled around about every 3 or 4 years. They moved on from one church to the next.
And that is, for viewers who aren't in the Methodist denomination or aren't familiar with it, the Methodist ministers always travel around?
Exactly, they do. And they are reappointed by the pastor. In fact, next Wednesday will be moving day. And so there will probably be about 150 Methodist preachers in South Carolina who will all be moving on that day. And so they literally pack up their house, and they'll be moving into a house that somebody just unpacked up and left and be moving into it. So.
Scott. Now,
Yeah.
I think I saw you were also, am I correct, a Methodist minister
Yes,
as well?
I'm an ordained Methodist minister. Right. I preached in South Carolina all over the state for about 10 years, and then left out about 15 years ago and went back to school and got a master's in healthcare administration.
Great.
And went to work in taking care of senior adults in South Carolina.
That's tremendous. What a great commitment.
Yeah, it's been it's a very rewarding experience. I worked with a lot of seniors in my churches. I found some very deplorable conditions in nursing homes across the state. I knew that something needed to be done differently, and so that was my vow, to set up an opportunity to really be able to take care of seniors in a faith-based environment and also in a safe and secure environment.
Faith-based is a very important part of it.
It certainly is, and that's kind of the foundation of Agape Senior. We are a faith-based organization. Not that we discriminate against anybody. We have people of lots of different faiths who work with us and live with us. We are mainly Christian-based.
Right.
Our logo, as you could probably see on a lot of our material, and actually the
can't
star
really see
here.
it too well here, but if they visit agapesenior.com, it's very prominent. And I
Yeah.
was going to ask you about that in a little bit, but go ahead.
Well, the
Get
logo is a 9-pointed star, and the
Uh-huh.
9 points represent the fruits of the Spirit from Galatians 5, and you can go look up Galatians 5 and read those.
Yeah.
And those are the basic principles of how we operate our business and taking care of our residents through basically faith and love. And so we expect all the folks who are employed with Agape to exhibit those fruits of the Spirit as they take care of the residents.
And not
on a
to
daily
put you on the
basis.
spot, could you recite them? Are there 9 fruits or 9?
There are 9 fruits,
points
and I
of the
knew you
star?
would ask me to do
No,
that, and that's
no,
why I
no.
brought them.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, it is Friday the 13th, so.
And it's awful early in the morning.
It is,
on
yeah.
the back of our name tags, we also list all of those fruits of the
Good.
Spirit to remind people of that, because sure enough, I'll leave one out.
Oh, I know. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. We'd be counting down. It would be a long shot. No, I'm kidding. It's just a great opportunity, of course, to get you in. As you travel, I think you highlighted that you all are literally half the state. I mean, Rock Hill, the Midlands, the Strand, the PD. I mean, you've got a tremendous presence throughout the state.
Yeah, one of the things that we discovered that we needed to do differerently with healthcare is we really feel like that healthcare for seniors is a very regional based, and everywhere you go, whether it's in the PD area or the upstate or the Piedmont area or the Midlands, The health care is focused a little bit differently. You have different hospital systems, different doctors groups and things.
Right.
And so what we felt like, instead of a lot of nursing home chains might have 10 or 15 different nursing homes spread out, and one would be in each little nook and cranny across the state.
Right.
What we wanted to do was concentrate our efforts in one area so that we could provide the continuum of care in a particular area. So when we decided that we wanted to come down here to the Grand Strand area,
right,
we knew that this would have to be a hub for us. So we started out with an assisted living facility that we bought over in Garden City.
Right.
We've since added on to it, and it's a 100-bed assisted living facility.
Is that right? That large?
Right, here in Garden City. Beautiful one-bedroom apartments. They're about
Right.
650 square feet, full kitchen, separate bedroom, 3 closets, 3 walk-in closets, you know, in these apartments. It is assisted living, and we do provide care for the residents who are there: medication administration, bathing, dressing. But we also provide a more enhanced care level for those folks who need a lot of care and need daily, hourly assistance in that building as well. But we also knew that if we were going to have assisted living, we also had to have the other component, which is the skilled nursing and rehab center.
Right.
And so we're real excited because we bought a facility up in Conway, and we're in the process of conversion of that building now. And in about 60 days, we will be licensed as a skilled nursing facility, do extensive short-term rehab,
Right.
and we will also offer Horry County the first hospice house on that site.
I just met with somebody last week who was talking about a hospice house down in Murrells Inlet. Very interesting as you think about a hospice house, but this will be the first in Horry County.
Yeah, the only the closest hospice house that you can find right now is, I think, down in Georgetown, and there's also one in Florence, but
Right.
there's not one in Horry County.
That's
So it'll be
tremendous.
centrally located for the entire Grand Strand area right there in Conway.
Right.
And it'll be a great place for folks to spend their last days in a comfortable setting, receiving high quality of care.
Share with viewers exactly what a hospice house is, since there is not one here in our area. You said there is one in Florence.
There is one in Florence.
Okay,
that's right.
good, yes.
Just to give folks a little bit better understanding, a lot of times people think hospice, we call in hospice when somebody is going to die in the next day or two. Hospice is actually a program that's designed for people who have a terminal illness and have decided not to pursue aggressive treatment. They want the disease process to follow with them, and they just want to go ahead and live their life and die.
Right.
We have hospice patients. Generally, you have a diagnosis that says you'll live 6 months or less.
Right.
But we have had people that have been on hospice for well over a year, and hospice is a Medicare-paid program. It's completely paid for by Medicare, 100%, no co-pays or deductibles or anything. We provide care to people in their home or home setting. Their home setting might be a skilled nursing facility.
Right.
It might be an assisted living facility, or maybe in their own home, where we provide nurses, nursing assistants, chaplains, social workers, activities people, just to come in and talk and play with the patients as well in that setting, and help them to have a higher quality of life. Hospice house is designed for those times when a person just can't be cared for at home any longer.
Right.
And it may be short term. It may be that they've had an episode of the flu, and while that's unrelated to what's causing them to die, they may need some more intense care. And so we can bring them in that hospice house for anywhere between 5 and 14 days and do short-term care. It keeps them having to go from the to a hospital.
Right.
So it's much more of a home-like setting in that hospice house than it would be just sending somebody to a hospital.
And 100% paid for by Medicare.
100% paid for by Medicare.
Wow.
Exactly.
Well, why wouldn't everyone take advantage of hospice?
You know, that's one of the things. We actually met with the state director for hospice care yesterday, met with our corporation, and she was telling us that less than 40% of the people who qualify for hospice services actually receive them in South Carolina.
Because A, don't know about it, or B, it's kind of like the lottery for technical education. I mean, for education.
Yeah, part of it is that, they just don't know about it. They're
Right.
not aware of it. They don't know what kind of services. And also, I think that the decision has to be made to stop the aggressive treatment.
Right.
They need to understand at that point that if it's cancer, there's no more chemotherapy, no more radiation. And a lot of folks aren't just ready, willing to give up that quick.
Yeah.
But we're all about helping people with quality of life, not quantity. Maybe we don't extend your days, but we sure hope to make those days better for you. We've just had some wonderful opportunities for hospice to do things that nobody else could do. If I could give you a story, it copies all that stories.
Scott, absolutely. Absolutely.
We had a couple up in the PD area, in fact, that both the husband or both the man and the woman were on hospice services. They both had terminal illnesses and dying. The woman has actually been in pretty bad shape and was very close to death. They lived together for about 15 years and never married.
Mm-hmm.
The wife came to us and she said, Scott, she actually told John, the guy who works for us, John, I'd like to get married before I die. Problem is, in South Carolina, both the man and the woman have to go down to the courthouse to apply for marriage license. You know,
Is that right?
she's bedbound. Yeah, she's
right.
bedbound. She can't get out of the bed. And so John, through a team of our ambulance transportation people, through coordinating the transportation with our nurses, our nursing assistants, social workers, we were able to get both of them down to the courthouse. They applied for their marriage license and brought them back home. And our chaplain for Agape came in and actually performed the marriage ceremony there in their house. She was laying in her hospital bed, and the nurses had arranged a bouquet of flowers as a veil around her head.
Oh, boy.
And she was able to get married before she passed away. So, you know, what hospice is concentrating on is quality of life, doing great things for people, things that they may not have gotten if we hadn't have been there.
And that's a great, whether it's Agape Senior or it's other hospice locations around the state, whether it's, not that you all are competing, because all of you all have that same goal of quality rather than quantity. We know it's within 6 months. You know it's Medicare supported. So there's some other great hospices all over.
Oh, yeah. There's probably 16 different hospice groups that practice out of the Grand Strand area. Folks do need to understand that they are different organizations, different companies. We are no way associated with each other. Sometimes people think, oh, it's hospice and we're all connected.
Right, all the same.
But we're not. And so some of the companies are here based out of South Carolina. We have some are for-profit, some are not for-profit, but really their goal is all about taking care of those residents and patients. One of the things that we are offering in our hospice house is a little bit different than the other hospice houses that have been opened up in South Carolina, is that we'll take patients from any hospice. So that if you're in one of the other hospice programs and you need to have our hospice house, then you can come in and that other hospice can still follow you, so you can have some of the same caregivers and nurses and chaplains that come in. What we found is that a lot of our other competition that have opened up hospice houses across the state have said the only way you can come to our house is that if you actually are on our hospice. So they'll make people discontinue from that hospice in order to come to ours. But we're open to anybody because we want to be there for folks.
That's tremendous, Scott.
We can.
That is tremendous. Golly, you think about, of course, for you, and I know you said since you're spread all over the state, you can only spend a limited amount of time here, but you're here a good bit, 3 weeks continuous oftentimes, and even coming down a lot more.
Yeah, I'm probably in the Grand Strand area at least once a month, but we do have a regional president and a regional director that lives here in the area.
Right.
We also have several hospice offices up in the PD. We're from Bennettsville, Sherrall, Hartsville, Florence, and Lake City, and here in the Grand Strand area in Conway and Garden City.
You gave me a phone number earlier, 843-357-0200 for your Garden City location. Even our viewers in the PD could call that to get information about Agape Senior. Of course, agapesenior.com. Ton of tremendous information. If a viewer was visiting that for the first time, what's some of the other great info they're going to get there at your website?
Well, some of the things they'll be able to go through and see all the ancillary, is what we call them, ancillary services that Agape provides. Because what we found is that, you know, as somebody becomes older, their needs, they may come into an assisted living apartment, need nothing more than for us to give them their medicine. But at some point they have an illness, they have a knee replacement surgery or a fractured hip, then we want to make sure that they have transitioned in and are cared for right through the continuum. And we follow them by taking them into a Conway, where a rehab center, average length of stay in our rehab center will be 28 days.